We are back. We are diving straight into our lower bracket match. We apologize for the delay, but of course we are diving on in, and we have our standard openers with this ZvZ in the top left. We have Dark, of course, and in the bottom right we have Serral in the elimination match. Both these players have had a rough showing so far, and now they have to knock each other out. Only one can advance on, the other will fall. Oh boy. Aye. So, yeah, we'll see who can make it through here in the end. Serral has been notorious for having some rough around the edges ZvZ. Dark, less so. Dark, he thrives in the ZvZ matchup, so I look forward to this matchup. As a reminder, it's a best of 5, not a best of 3. So plenty of games are ahead of us. And it is sad to see one of these players leave us, to see one of these players fall, but alas, tis the way of the tournament, tis the way of the competition. And so far, Hatchcast Pool, standard openers all around. All around as we are getting into our gas mining, getting into our link speed as well. No one is cutting any corners, thankfully. At least Serral isn't playing Protoss. True. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. Not like this. Thankfully, no one is off racing. Everyone is main racing. Feels good, man. Feels good. We do see a bit of a deviation, finally, between our two players. Everything has been pretty mirrored up until this point. Do you see Dark taking the center base, a far more aggressive start from our Zerg player. He is skipping his Bailey Nest as well. Interesting, as he is link flooding. Serral is taking the center base. Dark is link flooding behind this. The goal here is to try to punish the base and try to kill his opponent overall. Dark, he's cutting workers at 19, so Dark is all in. He is giga all in here with all of this. I didn't think you could change race mid-series. You can. People have been doing it in the IEMs as well. IEM, ESL Masters. You can change race, and here we go. Dark is all in with a massive link flood. Serral, can he hold on? As Dark is even ignoring the third base. He's going for more than that. He's going first round of the Queens. Barely unable to get that surround. Bailings are now on the way as well. The first Queen is going to fall. The Bailing as well, and things are looking dire here for Serral. There are no Bailings on the way, not yet. There's one Bailing now in the mineral line, but I don't know if it's really going to be able to finish. Dark, he's going to avoid the natural base. He goes straight for the main instead, going for the drones, going for the throat. Now, of course, Serral does have the Bailing advantage over his opponent, but they have to connect it. No, they only trade with 2. And that may just be a GG gets called, and Dark takes game number 1. GG. Again, the advantage that Serral had were those Bailings. He needed them to finish. He needed them to connect. And they did not. A very clutch move from Dark. Very, very close game. Very cutthroat. Welcome to Korean ZvZ. Aye. Here we go. With that, Dark takes a lead in this series, and we're going to be heading into game number 2 on Gressvan. A much larger map, to be fair, so the likelihood of Dark link flooding on Gressvan is not very high. So Serral should have a little bit more breathing room here. I'm worried though, because if you can see on cam, Serral, he's a little bit annoyed at what just happened at that game, and hopefully he can shake it off. Hopefully he can just shake it all off as we get into game 2. And again, hopefully it doesn't affect him too much. It's Serral, he's known as being very stoic, emotionless. I'm sure he can revert to that. As we're getting ready for our next game. I'm annoyed too, and I didn't even play. That's the danger of Neo-Humanity, is that it is a very small map, very short rush distance by ground. You can be hyper aggressive, especially in ZvZ on Neo-Humanity. I know that Neo-Humanity is known as more of a macro map in other matchups, but that is not applicable to mirror matchups, or specifically to ZvZ and even PvP. It's not applicable to that hyper aggressive. But thankfully for Serral, That was only game 1. It's the best of 5. Plenty of games are ahead of us. Plenty of games on the horizon. It's okay, Poppy. It's okay. We can recover. Why does Dark look like an evil villain? Oh, because he's embracing the darkness, Poppy. What do you mean? It's on brand, on brand. As we're getting into our next game, and in the top left-hand corner of Gresson, we have for Team Basilisk, the Finnish Zerg player. It is Serral. And in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. Oh my god! No shot! It's Dark. This rarely happens in competitive play. Dark is going for 13-12. This very rarely happens at the highest level of play because it's usually just bad because your opponent can just defend. Like, like these pro players like Serral, Raynor, Solar, Ragnarok, they are so well versed at defending against like 12 pools and 13-12s. They're not very common at this level amongst the best of the best, but Dark, he's whipping out the 13-12. Let's go. So if there's wondering, this is very all-in. This is very all-in from Dark. With this, you get fast-link speed, you get a Baneling Nest as well, and you just go all-in with very fast-link Bane. Serral should get a read on this pretty early on with his Overlords. His Overlords will tell him, and he's going to be able to have a couple of seconds to mentally prepare. As Link Speed is on the way, we are staying in gas because, again, Dark is going for a Baneling Nest next, and we're just flooding Lings. We're just flooding Lings and Banelings across the map. One way or another, the game is soon to end. Either a Dark kills Serral or Serral holds. Dark knows he cannot match Serral in a game. I don't think that's true. I still stand by the fact that I think Dark has the best late game ZvZ in the world. Like, Dark's late game ZvZ is wild. Like, he clowns all over Solar, all over Raynor, Ragnarok as well. Like, his ZvZ is terrifying. Sorry, his late game ZvZ is terrifying, but he doesn't need it. Like, he's he doesn't need it. And here we go. The Lings do arrive. Serral, he pulls back. He recognizes what's going on. So far, a good reaction out of Serral. He's throwing down a Spine Crawler in his main base. Serral, he can afford to give up the natural. Again, Dark is all in. Serral doesn't need to hold on to this hatchery. It's fine to lose it. As he is making a couple of Lings, he's going to be dancing with the army of Dark. If he's somehow able to save this base, then it's okay. But Link Speed does kick in for Dark, and yeah, he's even looking for a surround on that Queen. Queen is going to fall. We don't want to waste any Banelings, and up! Ooh, one Baneling does get wasted. A good pick off of Serral. Just slowing Dark down. Again, it was already a foregone conclusion that this hatchery would die, so it's fine. Spine Crawler is done. Defensive Baneling Nest is about to finish up for Serral. But it's not done yet. Dark has arrived. And here we go. We have 3 more Banelings on the way. This is going to be close here. Dark is going to come in from multiple angles. He's going to come in from behind, from the front, at the same time. So far, good trade from Serral. 2 for 3. Dark, he's slipping up. Dark is running. Okay. After that little slip up from Dark, he has just traded too inefficiently with his Banelings, and Dark is transitioning out of this. And this is why 13-12s are unseen at this level of play, because the defense is pretty straightforward. You give up on the natural, you get a Spine Crawler, you get defensive Banelings, and then you just defend on one base. And Serral, he's fine. He's fine at this point. He's ahead on workers. And Dark is going to attempt to transition. This is a very awkward transition for Dark. He's behind in a lot of aspects. Or I say he's behind. I mean, he's got a lot of catching up to do. He's droning quite heavily. He's getting his natural base up and running. He's still not at the worker count he needs to be at. Oh, we can see him dancing, though, with the units here of Serral. He still wants to trade a little bit more efficiently. Baneling's coming in from behind. Good target firing from Serral. He does zone away the Banelings. He wants the Queens. Up! It's so close. He does get the Queen. Oh, my God. That was terrifying. That was so close. Dark does get the Queen in the end. And from here, Dark is still trying to recover. He's still droning. He's still down in workers. I love this from Serral. Very fast Roach Warren. Again, he's aware of how behind Dark is. Like, he's aware of how desperate Dark is right now to drone. Alin gets across the map, and Serral even gets a full scout. He gets confirmation that no additional gases have been taken. There's no fast lair. There's no fast Roach Warren. Serral sees everything. He does see everything. He's going to be main-nighting over at his natural base. And from here, Serral, he can look to end the game with this Roach push. Roaches are on the horizon. He is up in tech. And this is just a good way to really seal the deal. Dark going for a third base to try to catch up. This Link Scout is going to be really important from Dark, but there's a Spine Crawler and he doesn't get in. Does trade with a Baneling, so an efficient trade for Dark, but he doesn't see what's happening. Doesn't see the Roaches. Oh. Here we go. Do Banelings kill lava? They do. They do. Now, Dark is aware of what's coming across the map. He's going to be throwing down a wave of Spine Crawlers, which he will need here to defend. Yeah, it does have to cancel that third base. There's no way he can get away with it. And now, Dark is on the back foot. Dark is now in trouble, being contained to 2 bases. Serral now getting further ahead with his lair. +1. Again, after the early game, after the initial build of Dark, he still has a lot of catching up to do, and he still hasn't been able to keep up with Serral. He's taking all 4 gases. He has to play 2 base Roach. Meanwhile, Serral, he already has his lair. He's working on Roach speed. Now, if Dark can recover, I wonder if he's going to try to slow the game down even further. I mentioned this earlier. We have seen a lot of late game ZvZ from Dark on Grass. Oh god, no! Oh, he's not looking. Big bailing connection there on those Lings. And it may not look like a lot, but like every unit counts right now at this stage of the game. Serral, he's up 10 workers. Dark, with the completion of this lair, I wouldn't be surprised if Dark goes straight for a Hydra Den. Even if he did, though, I don't think he can survive long enough. The Roaches, they have arrived. Ugh. None of the best trades here from Dark. Again, the Roaches of Serral just bullying him back, forcing Roaches out of Dark. Roaches that I don't think he wanted to make. As he is holding. But yeah, again, we have seen a lot of late game ZvZ from Dark on Gressvan, especially from behind. But like this deficit that he has here is just it's a big deficit, and he has to do something crazy. And there we go. He's going to be going into Mutas, a Spire play. If this was like a minute earlier, I think this would be good. I do think though, by the time the Spire finishes, by the time Mutas hit the field, Serral, he's going to have a massive Roach army. He already has a massive Roach army. Like. I don't know if Dark is gonna have the time to actually make Mutas. If he's able to somehow buy that time, then sure, he's still in this. But we'll see as Serral, he gets into the main, he scouts the Spire. He sees everything. Immediately, Serral is the first player to throw down a Hydra Den. He is perfectly fine. And yeah, Serral, he's going to be looking to tie up the series. Again, Dark, I would almost say disrespecting Serral by going for a 13-12. It's borderline disrespecting his opponent with that. But trying to be cheeky. Here we go. Burrow is done. Roaches are tunneling into the natural base. Yeah, and drones are going to be going down left and right. We do see the main army as well trading well, picking up Banelings here and there, left and right. And yeah, GG gets called. Serral will tie up the game. We'll tie up the series 1-1. It will not be a 3-0. It will not be one-sided. Thank God. I think we all want more of a back and forth between these two, and that's what we're going to be seeing here, as Game 3 is going to be on Ancient Cistern. Now, I imagine Dark is going to calm down when it comes to the early Ling aggression. I do think that going for a Ling Flood on Neo-Humanity made plenty of sense, and it works wonders. Going for a 13-12 on Gressvan, less so. I wasn't too fond of the build choice of Dark in that game, and we saw it fall on its face in the end. Again, 13-12s are really played out, and the defenses of that are really straightforward as well. I expect not just Serral, but any kind of player at this level to be able to defend quite easily, or just very with confidence, I should say, whether it's Serral or Solar or Raynor or Ragnarok or who have you. It's why 13-12s are just not really seen too often at all between these players. So GG. GG, well played. We're now getting into our next game on Ancient Cistern. Oh boy. Another large map here. Larger than Gressvan, a very macro-oriented. That doesn't mean that it has to be a straight-up macro game. I expect Dark to still be an aggressive player here, but you can go for other forms of aggression. You can go for these like big roach all-ins off of Hatch Tech with like +1 carapace. You can go for these big roach timing attacks with like 50 off of like 55 drones, like sub 3 base saturation, catching the Zerg player off guard. You can go into muta play. You can go 2 base. Like there's a lot available. And I also expect to be seeing some of what I said from Serral as well. I think that's what was really surprising about Serral versus Lambo. So we casted Serral versus Lambo a couple of days ago, yesterday even, and we got to see Serral be aggressive. We got to see Serral go all in. Lambo was really caught off guard, and Serral was having his way with Lambo by taking that aggressive role. Here we go. In the bottom left-hand corner of Ancient Cistern, we have from Finland, Serral. And in the top right-hand corner of Ancient Cistern, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player for CranKy Gaming. It is Dark. But again, we saw a very aggressive, I wouldn't say all-in, but just a very aggressive and very committed Serral yesterday against Lambo. And that's how Serral was able to eliminate Lambo from the tournament. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Serral being more assertive here on Ancient Cistern to turn the tables on his opponent and be a little bit more active himself. I think that's what we love about Serral. I think for many years, Serral was known as like more of a standard player, just very macro-oriented, very kind of prim and proper when it comes to how he plays. But over the past like 2-3 years, especially in the COVID era of StarCraft, it's been really cool to see Serral spread his wings and be more cheesy. Like we have seen him all in a lot of matchups. We've seen him all in against Terran, all in against Protoss. We've seen him just be very aggressive and cheesy at times. So it's really cool to see Serral just like broaden his horizons and not be as predictable as he used to be. I think a lot of people attribute a little bit of that to his streams. Like Serral has been streaming more often as well, and when it comes to his streams, like he shows a little bit more personality, like he has a little bit more fun. He's like opening himself up to the community a little bit more. So it has been really cool to see Serral just grow, not just as a player, but as a person, or like in his personality. It's been really fun. Been really fun to see. And now we're getting into our next game. Again, Hatch Gas Pool from everyone. And here we go, Hatch Gas Pool. Everything is looking quite normal. They are both mirroring each other when it comes to their openers. And this is what we expect on Ancient Cistern. Again, I don't really expect to see any signs of aggression for quite some time until the third bases get up and running. And there we go, thirds are on the way. We should be seeing Baneling Nest behind this from both players as well. And now it all becomes like, will either one of Dark or Serral be hyper-aggressive to deny the third base of the other player? And will they even drone the third? As Serral's going to be scouting across the map, getting a read on that third base. Likewise, Dark as well also sees that third with his Overlord. He's moving out across the map, trying to get a scout off, but Serral is in position to deny that scout. To force those Lings back. And we can see Serral is making an extra wave of Lings as well. Not too many, but enough to keep himself safe and maybe move out. And both players are just focusing on droning. Baneling nests are done. And we should be seeing some safety Banelings on the way as well as... Oh, Serral is moving out. Here we go. Dark is making one defensive Baneling back at home, and he's going for a faster Roach Warren, but only by a couple of seconds, as Serral is going for his own Roach Warren back at home, which is going to be spotted by Dark. Does also spot the saturation. And here we go. Serral does have a wave of 10 Lings on the way. Serral about to be active. There we go. Banelings are being morphed in. I'm loving this. I'm pretty sure Serral, yep, he's got 2 towards the north, 2 towards the south. He's looking to try to slip into a mineral line and to get economic damage done. This is what actually Dark does. Yeah, as we can see here. Like, Dark is very fond of doing the same thing that Serral is. Oof. As so far, there's only one defensive Baneling. He does get wasted. Dark is in a lot of trouble. His 2 Banelings are still on the way. Queens are being brought forward. Big connections. And the Banelings will not finish. Serral is breaking on through. The Queens are getting surrounded, and Dark has to try to hold on to his natural. Good hold position on the Queen. Does target down those Banelings, but 2 Queens just went down. The drones are under a lot of danger, under a lot of threats. And Dark will hold, but he loses 4 drones. Dark does fall behind economically. Roaches are out. He's going to be able to hold on. But he needs to do his own counter damage. He waddles in with some Banelings, but 1 Baneling is not enough. It takes 2 Banelings to kill a worker, so the drones, they can tank shots, and they do survive. So a nice lead for Serral. Meanwhile, Dark, what Dark's advantage is oh god, he almost loses a Baneling, is +1. He has +1 range on the way. Serral is still working on his Evo chambers. Again, Dark, he was cutting corners, he was being very greedy by not making more than 1 defensive Baneling, and he gets punished for it. As Dark is also going for a faster lair. So he has faster lair, faster upgrades. And the game is going to settle from here. As we're all just trying to drone up and saturate. Serral still has a standing army. This Baneling run by shouldn't really find any damage. Roaches are in position. Banelings, they do get snipes. Good positional play here from Serral. Shutting Dark down. And again, we're going for a longer game. From here, I do love that we have Overlord speed from Serral. He has been known to go for Drop-a-Lord play and just go for like these backstabs with like 4 or so roaches in the main. He's setting up for that. He's fully saturated on 3 bases. He's on 67 workers. Now he can focus on nothing but roaches. Likewise, so can Dark. We are now entering the Roach v Roach portion of the game. Bold move by Serral. He is spending gas on not just Overlord speed, but a very fast Hydra Den as well. Oh, we get a surround, and we do force a cancel. Serral! He cancels the 4th, and he gets a snipe on that drone. Very nicely done here by Serral. Dark on the other side of things is focusing on his Roach production. He has a much faster timing with +2. So, as Serral is teching up, you could argue that Dark has a window where he can kill Serral with a +2 range timing. We'll see if he is able to hit that. We'll see if he goes for that. As Dark's 4th base is heavily delayed. Outside of that, the Drop-a-Lord is done. We do have 4 roaches headed towards the main base of Dark. Dark does have an Overlord in position, but we'll see if he does catch wind of this and if he's able to split off some roaches to defend. At the same time, we have Burrow on the way. I imagine Tunneling Claws on the horizon as well. Overseers coming in for a scout. Overseers are coming in for scouts. Trying to get eyes on the tech. I believe they haven't gone into the main or the natural, so the Hydrogen hasn't been spotted yet. As Dark is going for his own Drop-a-Lord. And again, it looks like the Hydra Den is just in case there was mutants coming out from Dark for reactive Hydras. I appreciate that even though Serral has that tech, he's not making any Hydras. They really don't really serve any use at this point. It's all about the Roach v Roach. And here we go. Serral is the first player to max out. The reason for that is because he did have the economic lead from the early game. He was up 6 workers. He was able to mine more for longer. As he pushes in, a Ling run by into the third base. We have the Roach drop into the natural as well. Serral wreaking some havoc, forcing the attention of his opponent to be split up. Meanwhile, we do have a Baneling drop into that third base. 8 workers go down. Dark doing a great job at just stabilizing the economy, at catching up in said economy. Files raining down on the armies. Ooh, Overlord's taking some big hits. It looks like Dark is finally cleaning up the Roach run by. And he's taking a better fight here. Straight up, he's forcing Serral back, but oh, the Roaches, they're back. They were borrowed. Oof. They get another 2 drones, and they burrow in the corner. Serral doing a great job of just pulling Dark apart. Yeah, those 2 Roaches are still alive. Spores have to be thrown down in all these bases. More drones are falling as well. Meanwhile, Dark has to focus on the main push. And Serral is breaking on through. He's able to collapse on one of the weakened flanks here of Dark. At the same time, Borrowed Roaches do come in at the 4th base. Dark is being pulled apart. Losing Roaches left and right. Again, the lack of detection, the lack of site defense. This is just becoming too much damage. And even though Dark has been able to keep up when it comes to the main fights, and has even at times been able to outtrade Serral when it comes to the main fights, he's losing his economy. 13 workers go down. There are Roaches in every single base. And Serral is successfully transitioning into Lurkers. Lurker Den is on the way. And that's the nail in the coffin. Lurkers are really... they reign supreme here in ZvZ. Finally, these Roaches are being hunted down, but no, even more drones fall. And here comes the main army. Dark is out of position. Third base is going to be going down. We have Roaches here at the 4th as well. Dark is being forced all in. And he may not even be able to push out across the map. Yeah, 21 workers go down and counting. And GG gets called. Serral does take a lead in this series. He takes game number 3. 1 game away from advancing on here in the bracket. GG. GG, well played. Serral just taking a lead early on. If you remember, winding it all back, Dark, he was cutting corners, he was being greedy. He only made 1 Baneling defensively back at home, and that Baneling went down very early. Serral was able to escalate things out of control. He was able to kill a good chunk of workers. He was able to take an economic lead early on and maintain that lead. And that allowed him to eventually get into the Roach v Roach ahead. He was up in the Roaches. He was maxed out first. He had the spare resources to be able to invest into Burrow and Tunneling Claws while also maintaining a supply lead as well. Again, like these early drone leads, they can really snowball, and they can really be, or their effects can be seen later on down the line as the game does go on. It's typically how these mirror matchups go. And yeah, Dark was just having a hard time recovering from the early game. And of course, it all snowballed out of control when we had Roaches in every single base. Dark unable to keep up. And with that, he's up against the wall. 1 more loss and Dark is eliminated from the tournament. He needs to bring it back here and now on Royal Blood. And again, I do think that this pace that Serral sets in ZvZ is something that can catch his opponents off guard. Over the course of a series, they will get used to it. But we don't really have much of the series left. You know, 1 more loss and that's it. Dark doesn't have a lot of time here to adapt. to that style from Serral that he's known for, with drop lords and tunneling claw roaches everywhere. So we'll see if Dark can keep up, as here we go, spawning in the top right-hand corner of Royal Blood. We have the finished Zerg player for Team Basilisk. It is Serral. Ooh, going for a 15-15. You love to see it. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing CranKy Gaming. It is Dark. Okay, so this 15-15 from Serral, it's going to be a 15 hatch into a 15 spawning pool, is a very safe opener. It gives you very fast queens, gives you fast lings. The downside to this opener from Serral is that you get very late gas. You get very delayed gas, and we saw a lot of this. We've seen a lot of this over the weekend. Ragnarok is very fond of this opener in almost every matchup. Ragnarok does this a lot against Terran, and he even does this quite a bit against Zerg as well. So, yeah, there's some pros and cons to it, of course. You can be greedier in a sense, just because you can cut link production and focus on droning. Now, because there's no gases for Serral, this does mean that typically you would skip link speed and play 2-base Roach. And the reason why 2-base Roach is so much more powerful on Royal Blood, this map specifically, which again makes sense as to why Serral would be doing this, is because of the natural. The entrance to the natural is actually very narrow. It's very easy to wall off on this map and to play 2-base Roach. Like, you don't really have a lot of surface area on your buildings, and you don't have to invest too many buildings anyway. As I say that, Serral, he does take his gas eventually. Now, it is later than his opponents, but he does take it a little bit earlier than I would have expected. So we'll see how Serral spends his gas. As for now, he's just going to be droning up. Again, Dark will have a link speed advantage and a baneling advantage as well if this was a normal game, but I expect Serral to be playing 2-base. We'll see, though. We'll see. We'll see what he has in store for us. As link speed is on the way for Dark, I mean, Dark, to switch our attention to Dark, standard opener, hatch gas pool, link speed on time, as it should be, and third base should be taken here from Dark as well. Serral, it isn't safe for him to take a third because he doesn't have link speed, so that's also why I'm putting emphasis on Serral playing 2-base from here. As the third base is on the way, Dark, upon recognizing the opener that Serral's going for, Dark should skip banelings. The baneling nests, I imagine, won't be thrown down from either player here, as Serral is just focusing on droning. So is Dark. Again, by now, we should have seen a baneling nest, and we are not. And there it is. Serral is playing 2-base, and he's going straight into that lair. He skips link speed, again, because of his opener. Not really worth investing into link speed at this stage, just because you're behind. And Serral is walling off on 2 bases. Now, Dark is aware of what's happening. Dark has an economic lead because he has his own third. He has map control because of link speed as well. And he should be working on his own roaches. Serral, this could be a multitude of different things, and Dark has to piece it together. This could be 2-base Roach from Serral, which is what he's showing. This could also be 2-base Muta, and he could be faking Dark out and secretly going for a Spire once the lair is done, especially if all 4 gases are taken. So Serral has some options. Meanwhile, Dark, is going all in. This is crazy. So Dark, if he droned from here, he would have a massive economic lead. He is stopping work. He's cutting drones at 36. He's got +1 carapace on the way. He's got a Roach Warren, Lings. This is a Roach, Ling, +1 carapace all in from Dark. This is wild. Okay. I don't know if this is going to work. I mean, Serral, he's already working on defensive Roaches. He's already working on +1 range. He already has, like, he's not exposing himself by expanding. He's not taking a third. I think that's what Dark is hoping for. I think Dark is hoping that Serral is going to take a third base and move his army out and compromise himself and expose himself. But if that doesn't happen, trying to break the natural is going to be difficult. And yeah, this is a really wild decision from Dark. I don't want to judge it too much yet because it could work. Overlord is going to go down. Is going to slow Dark down a little bit. So Dark, he's going for Mass Ling Ravager. His goal here, surround the Roach army with Lings and bile the hell out of it with Ravagers. But here we go, Serral is moving out. Dark getting ready back at home. Queen's also moving out as well, as this is a 2-base all-in from Serral. And Serral has a better economy. I'm really curious to see if this is going to work out for Dark, as he is also amassing his own army. He is relying so much on these biles. He needs the perfect, like, Dark needs the perfect engagement, and I don't know if he's going to get it. Here we go, the Lings, they do dive on in. They do get a surround on the Queens, but we need biles on the Roach Ravager. They do not find their connections. The Queens do go down. But Dark, does he have enough to surround this army? It looks like he does not. Not yet. Biles, are not going to be connecting. They actually connect on some of those Lings instead. As Dark is trying to force Serral back, but Serral, good control, good avoiding of all those biles. He's pushing on forward, slowly getting on top of the Ravagers of Dark. Again, the goal here of Dark's army is to connect with those biles, and he isn't. The Lings are running out. Serral, he's breaking on through. And this 2-base all-in from Serral trumps the all-in from Dark. We can see Dark trying to muster up some defenses, trying to muster up some forces, but it is not going to be enough. Yeah, as he gets into the Ravagers, GG gets called, and Serral has done it. He takes game number 4, and Serral will be advancing on in this tournament. Dark is eliminated from the Masters Coliseum number 6. GG. GG, well played. Winding it back, talking about that game, that was a wild decision. Yeah, it was a really bold move from Dark. So Dark rushing into Ling Ravager is a really risky thing. The goal there is to surround the Roach push, to clean it up, and to counterattack. That like Dark, his army was built to kill a Roach push, and to punish it. But it wasn't a Roach push. It was a 2-base all-in. I don't think Dark was expecting that aspect. I think he was expecting Serral to open up 2-base and then take a third. And just have Roaches for map control, and sure, he can push out and maybe punish the 3rd base, but I think he was expecting Serral to be droning behind that and to be working on a later game. He was not expecting the Queens. So when the army showed up with not just Roach Ravager, but also Queens as well, like, you saw that Dark just wasn't really ready for that. He was able to surround and kill the Queens, couldn't deal with the Roaches though. Like, it's one or the other sort of thing. He wasn't really expecting both, so it was almost a build order loss for Dark. I almost want to go as far as to say that, because yeah, like, judging on his drone count and his army, like, I don't see a world where he could have controlled that better. Or I don't see a world where he could have surrounded Serral's army. Like, he just didn't have enough. He didn't have the numbers. Regardless, GG, well played. As we're going to be getting into our last best of 5 of the night, going to be going on a short break. When we return, Hero versus Maru. See you soon.